Good morning, Froggy here at your service. Today I'm going to show you how to rebuild front brake calipers. Took a little shortcut here. I've already got the car up on 2 floor jacks. I've got jack stands underneath. It's in gear. It's got the parking brake on, and I've got some chocks under the back wheels, so it's not going anywhere. That means Froggy can safely work underneath there and always be safe working on your cars. First order of business is going to be to take these calipers off. We've got caliper slide bolts. You can see that upper one, and there's a lower one you can't see. I've showed it to you in one of my other videos. Those two come out on the left side. The caliper sensor wire is going to come off, and on both sides this caliper retaining spring, this caliper tension spring is going to come off. So all that's going to come off, and the caliper is just going to fall right off like that. Just take it right off. Here we go. Okay, we have got our caliper out. Here's what I did. I took the brake hose off at the caliper. After the caliper came off of the caliper bracket, I just spun it, twisted it around, and that hole right there is where the brake fluid hose was going in there. So I just spun it off. And now I'm going to take it. This is the piston. I'm going to take the piston out. I'm going to apply some air pressure to this hole here. Whoop. There. I'm going to apply air pressure there. That'll push the piston out. You got to be careful. Don't have your fingers in there. It'll whack your finger pretty good. And once I take that out, I'll be able to clean up the piston, put a new boot on here, assemble it all back together, and I'll have to bleed the brakes when I'm done. I'm going to do the other side first. When I go on the other side, I'm going to show you a couple of other little tips on how this all came apart. Okay, here's our caliper. I cleaned it up a little bit with brake cleaning fluid and a couple of wire brushes. Now, this is where I showed you. We're going to put air in here. The piston is going to shoot out here. This is a little tool that I made. You can buy this part for compressed air, for cleaning or inflating, I guess. It's got a rubber tip on the end. And then I put a little regulator on here. You want to regulate the air pressure. You can regulate the air pressure at the compressor, or you can regulate it here with this. You don't want to put too much pressure in here. This will go flying like a rocket ship. Don't have your fingers in here. I'm going to put this board in there to catch it. And since I only have 2 hands, I'm going to have to put the camera down for a second and do that. I'm going to put the air in there. Piston comes out here, hits the board here. Should work. Okay, we've got it out. I want to tell you 2 things about this procedure. Number 1, brake fluid is going to come spraying out of here when you put air pressure in, because there's still some brake fluid left in this caliper. So be aware that you're going to get some back spray of brake fluid. Number 2, this comes out really fast. It'll make a really loud noise, like a bang or a pop. And make sure you have a piece of wood to cushion it on this side. There's the indentation that it made when it came popping out. Okay? Okay, I want to show you a few things here. You need to inspect this bore to make sure that it's not rusted, corroded. A lot of times you'll get some corrosion right here along this groove. This is the seal. We're going to replace this. This seals the hydraulic fluid on the back side of the piston. So piston comes out this way. Hydraulic fluid is on the back side pushing the piston. So this one looks good. We're going to replace this seal and replace this boot. Now you got to inspect the piston too. This piston's got to be cleaned up a little bit. It looks pretty good. It's got a couple of small, like, kind of scratches, but if you can't catch your fingernail in any of it, you're probably okay. I'm going to clean it up very carefully. You don't want to grind on this. You don't want to use heavy sandpaper. This is machined to a very fine tolerance so that it can slide past this rubber seal here and not leak. So I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to use some Scotch-Brite and do probably some simple green or maybe brake cleaner fluid and get it clean and then take another look at it. Okay, here's where we are. The mildest thing that I could find was some Brasso metal polish, which is okay on steel. I've got it cleaned up pretty good. This looks pretty good. There's a couple of spots here and here that are a little rough. So what I'm going to do is use some of this Brasso, and I'm going to take my Dremel with a soft polishing tip on there. I'm going to see if I can clean them up a little bit. I'm not going to do too much because I don't want to make it worse, but I'm going to see if I can soften up. It's not the color that I want to get rid of. I can catch that with my fingernail, so the fluid's going to want to try and get by there. I'm going to put in a new seal anyway, but still, I'd like to soften that up a little bit if I can. Okay, here's the update. I got some red buffing rouge, and I'm using my Dremel with a little soft, sorry about that, a little soft buffing wheel. And I've got those two spots. I don't know if you can see it. I polished them. They're brighter than the rest of the surface. And I can't really feel it with my finger. I can feel it with my fingernail. But I think I got them a little bit better than what they were, and I'm going to call it a day. If this was a race car, I'd probably replace the piston. This is a street car, and these pistons are probably, you know, 60, 70 bucks a piece. I don't know what they are. I'd have to look it up. But I'm going to go with that. I think it's going to seal okay with the new rubber seal in, and it'll get 20, 40, 60,000 miles out of those calipers. That's what I think. I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to put some new bushings in. This is where the sliding pin slides. These sliding pins here slide. So I'm just going to take a screwdriver and push the old bushing out that way and then slide the new bushing in. Okay, we got them in. I put a little silicone lube on there just to make them slide in easy. The original equipment parts really fit good, so I would go with those. I want to show you how I got this started. You want to lubricate the inside of the bore and the outside of the piston with brake fluid. Okay? Then you get it started. Make sure it's squared up. Don't have it on an angle. It's got to be totally square. When the piston encounters the seal, the rubber seal inside, it's going to be hard to get it past there. I used a little piece of wood, a socket, and a soft rubber mallet to get it. Just give it a few taps to get it past that seal. Once you get it past the seal, you should be able to press it in the rest of the way by hand. Now the boot, you can see I've got it sort of inside out. I have the boot attached. Well, stuff happens. That's a pretty heavy duty caliper. I don't think it hurt anything. Everything that would be damaged is on the inside here. So back to the boot. You turn the boot inside out and get that part that seals to the piston, get that started in the groove of the piston. The other part that seals, this one here, is going to go into the caliper. So it's inside out right now. I'm going to push the piston in the rest of the way, and then I'm going to tuck this seal in to the caliper. That's the dust seal. It protects all this part of the piston as the piston comes in and out. Here's another trick. Froggy's giving you all his tricks today. If this piston won't go in, pressing on it by hand, it could be a nice tight seal in there, use a C-clamp. Just nice and gentle. There it goes. Just make sure that this is not at an angle, it's not cocked, because then you'll be damaging the bore. Just ease it in. Okay, the final step is going to be to tuck this other sealing edge of the dust boot, tuck it in so that it clips in to the groove in the caliper. And I'm doing this with a screwdriver and going all the way around. It's going to be a little tough when you get down to this closed up part of the caliper, but you can get in there and do it. Make sure that clips in good, otherwise your dust boot is loose and you'll get water, dirt, whatever in there, and it'll spoil your piston. Okay, there it is. We got it all in, finally. It's all in proper shape. Now to put it back. Okay, here's where we stand. The caliper, you remember I disconnected the brake line right there instead of up on top. So I took the brake line out. It was still dripping a little fluid. You see, it dripped but didn't drip too much. I knew a lot wouldn't come out. I took the brake line, I took the caliper in my right hand and I spun it on 6 turns, because 6 turns is what it took to spin it off. 6 turns puts it on. Now I'm going to snug it tight. It'll only take about 1/4 of a turn to snug it tight. I opened up the bleeder right here so that I could gravity bleed the system while I was working. Some came out the end, so I know it's been gravity bled. Now I'll have to do a regular bleed when I'm done. But there's not a lot of air in the system now. I greased up the caliper where it hits. I greased up the pads where they touch the caliper and the bracket, and I put the caliper pins in here. Remember, we've got the new slides, new rubber slides, so that's going to work nice. And all I have to do now is torque up to the right torque rating, 20 pounds for these, and I guess that's the only one. Put the spring back on here, connect the brake sensor, and then I'm pretty much done with this side. Okay, remember, the second side will always go easier, and be careful to inspect your piston that goes in the caliper and the inside of the caliper to make sure those are good. If they're pitted, corroded, rusted, really look bad, then you got to get at least a new piston, if not a piston and a caliper, or get rebuilt ones. So there you go. This side is we're going to button it up and finish it, and it'll be done. Clean up. Second side will be faster. If this helped you out, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more of what I do, subscribe to my channel. Have a great afternoon, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.